fresh meat.
Alright, hey everybody, Yullbrenna here with another Ability Arena gameplay video. This time we're going to be playing Rix, who I did play a little recently, but wanted to try again because I have a certain build in mind. So Rix, always a fun one to play, not maybe one of the top gods in the game, but a fun god to play it nonetheless. And if you want to check out a good game with Rix, go ahead and check out this video right here. It was a lot of fun one. So, like I said, the main reason I'm playing this game, someone had recommended Atrophy Aura, and I really not a spell that I use a lot, and an attack damage modifier that I use a lot, but I'm going to go ahead, give it a shot, and see what happens. So starting off, you can see I started off a little bit later in the round, didn't start off at round 1, record this a little bit later, but I got into it, not too much missed. I did pick up some Dragon's Blood, and I got some early points into Spike Carapace. So with Spike Carapace and Spirit Siphon, I haven't technically have a Rix unit to start, and sometimes that's just how things go. You know, once the next unit comes out, I can move Spike Carapace, I can move Spirit Siphon to that unit, and then just have fully passive spells onto the Rix unit. Of course, if you don't know what the Rix unit does, the Rix unit, of course, silences one unit, so you're going to have pretty much all passives on that unit, but when they die, they'll respawn after a certain delay. So it can be a fun one if people have a lot of burst builds that take down your front line, and you can absorb that burst damage, and then of course your unit will respawn, have bonus damage, and be back in the fight like nothing ever happened. So a really good way to counter burst type builds. So doing pretty well so far, and of course the points in grow should combo really well. Of course I've got Spike Carapace, that's going to cause stuns in the beginning, and if I can get grow to Gabens, it'll have Belch as well, so there'll be additional stuns. So pretty much both my frontline units should have initial stuns. It should work out pretty well. Of course, with your frontline unit, you're also going to want some damage. Usually you'll have Berserker's Blood, so they'll have additional attack damage, and then of course Counter Helix works out well. So as they're getting attacked, they're the focus. Counter Helix should add a lot of good damage. So definitely going to pick that one up. Really like it on a Rix unit. So either of those were the best items. I went with Drums of Endurance just for a basic item, not my favorite. And of course your Rix unit can cast its items, so don't be afraid to put any items that have a castable ability to it. You can put that on there. So Tidehunter pops out. I'll go ahead and make that my borrowed time unit. Of course, when I'm playing a Rix build, I do want a lot of survivability so that I have my Rix unit has the ability to respawn. So definitely want to get that in there. I'll throw in some Spirit Siphon. I'll throw on Waveform so I can get to the back line, because currently I have nobody getting to the back line, and I definitely want to keep that distracted while I while my Rix unit and my Atrophy Aura build takes out the front line. So keeping their backline distracted here. Bomb goes off. Hopefully I can survive this. Yeah, it looks like it shouldn't be an issue. That Rix is not taking a lot of damage. So pick up Dispersion. I still haven't found Moment of Courage. I still haven't found Berserker's Blood, which is the regen that I would like to see. Obviously Dragon's Blood does provide some regen, but Berserker's Blood, Moment of Courage are going to provide a little bit more. So picking up Dispersion, do want something else. I'm not going to be keeping Feast. So I'm looking for one last ability for my Rix unit. again, I'm kind of going Atrophy Aura here. Atrophy Aura and Lunar Blessing are stacking a little bit, and I want a little bit more survivability, which Shadow Dance does. So Shadow Dance is going to help me survive a little bit longer and make sure that my Rix unit does get a respawn. And of course, right as I say that, I get stunned and Chain Frost kills me, so can't even get the Shadow Dance off, which means a lot of my damage is gone, and I just don't have the attack speed from and the damage from Moment of Courage, and I don't have a lot of regen, so it just looks like I'm kind of sputtering out on this one. Getting Atrophy Aura, if you want to get the max damage out of it, you're going to want to get it to Super. And then of course the Gabens, it'll apply to all units. So the reason I did this for a Rix build is hopefully it can apply to that Rix unit. Bomb goes off, still lacking a little bit in the damage department here. If I'm not taking down units, then I'm not building up the damage. Find Centaur. Centaur will work great for a Rix unit because, of course, Grow is going to provide the armor that that a Centaur doesn't really get, and of course the strength gain is great. So definitely picking up that one. And my last unit will really just be support, buff, and then follow up with some stuns. So no problems there. Build is kind of middle in the pack for the time being. Obviously, since I haven't found Berserker's Blood or Moment of Courage yet, the Counter Helix is the main damage dealer right now. Atrophy Aura almost a super, so I'm almost getting the max damage out of that. And you can see I'm a little bit isolated here, so although a unit did go down, and units are going down, I'm not getting the bonus damage. But I still managed to win the round. Feast to level 6, of course. I want to get that all the way to Gabens, so my Rix unit gets the benefit of that. And so here, what I'm thinking right now is False Promise. Is it really valuable in my build? Rix is already going to respawn, so keeping him alive a little bit longer I don't think is that necessary, so that is why I get rid of False Promise. I already have Shadow Dance, I already have Borrowed Time, I've got a lot of survivability, so I just need some more magical damage, which I'm lacking in my build, so Chain Frost is the perfect spell for that. They're going to group around my Rix unit, and Chain Frost at level 6, at level 9 does a lot of good damage, so that was an easy pickup. Damage has kind of spread out here a little bit. Still pretty heavy physical, so that Chain Frost is going to be big. I'll go with Death Prophet. Needed a better body on my physical damage build with that Atrophy Aura, so that's why I switched that up. And again, with my support build as well, I wanted to keep it ranged so that I'm staying in the back and letting my Rix unit respawn, and my other units aren't getting focused. You can see what I'm also doing is I'm casting Bloodlust, so I get Spike Carapace off, units will get stunned, and then I'll throw down my Chaotic Offering, so I should add, definitely like layering my stuns essentially, so that I can get the most out of it, and it seems to work out pretty well, at least that round. And Heaven's Halberd shows up, so I think that's a pretty good item that I'll throw on my Rix unit. Give us some evasion, give him some strength, and of course the active for disarming in case I'm dealing with any physical damage dealers. So pretty good item, I think, for the time being. And positioning worked. Bloodlusting right now the Rix unit. Maybe that's not the best. Maybe I could bloodlust the Death Prophet, but for the time being, I think it's working out. So let's keep it going. Centaur completely in the mix, so Ender Helix is doing a lot of work. And you can see I'm getting the Atrophy Aura. It's not a super yet, so I'm not getting the most. But I'm getting almost 200 attack damage here. And there's not a lot of summons so far. Not a lot of people have picked up summonings. So around 200 damage is where I'm getting the max benefit. And of course that's after units have already died. So a good spell for adding added damage. Is it the best one? I'm not sure at this moment. Let's keep going. Of course, I also do have Feast, which I'm going to be doing percentage-based damage with Feast. So Death Prophet should be hitting relatively hard, especially against tanky units. Getting Doom thrown on my Rix unit is a great thing to see, because of course, no issues there. And even if the Rix unit dies, it's going to respawn, and Doom is just essentially a wasted spell at that point. So perfect counter to this build right here, that they're using Doom. Not an issue for me at all. Of course, you saw I grabbed Inner Beast. Inner Beast works out really well with Rix, and it's going to work out well with my Death Prophet as well. So more passive the better. So going strong. Don't need to switch any things up. I'm on a winning streak. I'm in first place. And yeah, let's see what happens here. Okay, a lot of burst damage here. Managed to get the Shadow Dance off. My Rix unit getting blown up pretty hard. And yeah, that Shadow Fiend, it's really hard. So that'll definitely need to be an adjustment I'll have to make. Still in first place. Nothing to worry about at the moment, but that is definitely an opponent I'll have to look out for. I want to keep Counter Helix for the damage. Dispersion's not really doing too much, so I finally get Berserker's Blood into play. Moment of Courage finally shows up. Both spells really were clearly contested a lot, so they didn't show up too late. It's going to happen in a Rix build, something you're going to have to deal with. Sometimes you just won't get the spells, but it's been working out for me so far in my pivot, so let's just keep it going. Death Prophet is leading the charts. Atrophy Aura seems to be working pretty well, and then Centaur not far behind. I finally go max shop. I don't think it's completely necessary with Rix. It's obviously something that's valuable because you get increased damage on the respawn. But you know, if you're struggling and you need to stay at a lower shop, that's fine too. I do like to stay at shop 4 most of the time, but I'm in first place. I might as well go for it and go with max shop. Facing the Shadow Fiend again. I get hit with a Chrono and I get hit with Sharpshooter pretty hard. My Death Prophet just immediately gets deleted. I didn't get borrowed time off. That one hurt pretty bad. So 2 times in a row, I've not beaten this guy and he's punished me pretty bad. I am going for Fortune's End all the way to Gabens. I think that Reign of Destiny or whatever, that provides that healing. It's going to be pretty valuable on the Rix unit and for all my units, so that's why I'm going for Fortune's End all the way. So taking a look at this guy, he's got a tanky front line, he's got Chrono, he's got Ravage, Sharpshooter, of course, like I said, that deleted my Death Prophet, and then the Shadow Fiend unit with Walrus Punch that is hitting really hard. So falling down a little bit, I've lost to that guy a few times. Let's see if I can turn this around. So the Chaotic Offering stops the Icarus Dive combo with the Black Hole. So the layering of stuns worked out pretty well here. I survived the bomb, no problem. And should be able to close this one out. There we go. So I've got Atrophy Aura to super, so it's going to be providing, again, that max damage that it can. Death Prophet is doing fairly well, but without summons, maybe this wasn't the best build, but if I can get it to Gaben, it can apply that damage also onto my Rix unit, which is really what I'm hoping for. So let's see if I can do that. In the chrono, the borrow time doesn't go off. I do still have Death Prophet that can get off the Shadow Dance. Perfect. Let's see if I can take him down. Let's see if there's enough damage. Just not enough damage at the time being. So lost to him 3 times, fallen down pretty hard here, but not out yet. I do like living armor. Definitely looking for the additional armor onto my Rix unit and some more survivability onto my other units because I'm getting beaten up pretty hard by him. Counter Helix I would love to get a little bit higher here. That also is another spell that hasn't shown up as much. Here's this Terrorist build again. I beat them a few times. And yeah, pretty clean win here. Not too worried about that. It's really just the Aghanim's build that has been beating me. Two main damage dealers are Centaur and Death Prophet, really good sign, and then of course Visage with the Chain Frost, doing a lot of work. Since there aren't a lot of summons, like I said, I don't think Milner is the best. There's not a lot of illusions either, so I'm gonna go with Bloodthorn. Hopefully I can get a silence off and on those frontline units, and it'll just add some good damage. Alright, grow to Gaben, that's huge. Hopefully that will stop a lot of the burst damage from that Aghanim unit. So now I've got Spiked Carapace, I've got grow, so I've got a lot of stuns on my front line, a lot of tankiness, and yeah, let's see if I can just shuffle around my units a little bit and survive that burst. So this guy's going with a huge bounce build for his Ogre, and then he's got the Day God as well. He's doing a lot of damage here, but I'm surviving pretty well. I've got living armor, I've got Shadow Dance, yeah. Just too much, so both players get knocked out, the Ogre's out, the Terrorist is out, so it's down to me and this other guy who's been doing pretty well, and I have not been able to beat him yet. Almost there on Dragon's Blood. So he's got the Chrono, like I said, the tanky unit, and then of course the Ravage, Sharpshooter. So it's definitely a positioning game. How do I want to avoid this? I don't mind him hitting the Rix unit. Get a good Chain Frost off. See, oh no, I'll barely get the Shadow Dance off. See if I can tear through his front line. I can't get to the Shadow Fiend. I just don't have a lot of backline right now with the waveform not getting there. And the stuns just aren't doing it with Belch and with Spiked Carapace. So 3 huge Gabens there. Hopefully that can turn the tide here, and I think it still comes down to positioning, but those should help a lot. Getting the living armor, additional survivability, the Spirit Siphon causing some issues as well, and then of course Dragon Blood, reduced damage for the opponent, and then of course increased damage for me. So I'll make a last second switch and throw my Centaur on that side, and then keep my Death Prophet on the outside rather than in the middle where he can get hit by the Shadow Fiend. So Rix gets blown up, don't mind that. I also got my Chain Frost off, so I think I'm in a good spot here. The Belch, the Spirit Siphon works, and I managed to take down Shadow Fiend, so the repositioning worked. Death Prophet did a lot of damage. You can see the increased damage from Atrophy Aura is doing pretty well. Probably would be better in a summons build, and hopefully I can get it to Gaben, but it's really coming down here. This might be one of the last rounds. He's getting a lot of Gabens here. I like the positioning here, but I definitely want to watch just in case they're going to reposition and I'll have to move. Yeah, he is. So I definitely want to avoid the Shadow Fiend here, and I'm going to have to move to the other side. Keep Death Prophet on the outside. He moves Shadow Fiend back and managed to survive. The Rix also stuns him, and then he gets stunned again by the Belch. The Belch was coming up huge, and I managed to take him down. So, good top 2 battle against a strong opponent. This showed the power of Atrophy Aura, honestly showed the power of Belch as well with Grow. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.